Welcome in. Thanks for joining us for this special edition of Conversations with Paul Brown. And we're out at Cobbs Glen in Anderson County. And our guest is Bill Sanders, and he has a unique story because he now is the man in charge, so to speak, at Cobbs Glen. You grew up not far from where we are sitting.
That's right.
To tell me about what you remember about those early days at Cobbs Glen and you coming along as a kid.
So I was about maybe 7, 8 years old when my parents moved out here in 78-ish. The club had not been open very long at that point in time.
2 years. I think it opened in 76.
I think that's right.
Yeah.
Yep. But I figured out early on that I could, pick up all the golf balls and sell them back to the golfers. And I could come out here on a good busy Wednesday or a busy Saturday and make $70.
Oh, come on.
Yeah, in the 70s.
And you were a kid.
Yeah, I was just a kid. And I don't know if it was that they loved my golf balls so much or they were just trying to, further somebody along,
But basically, you were an entrepreneur right out of the gate.
I guess you could say that. It was just fun for me.
During your high school years, what was your interest? Sports, work, girls?
All of the above, pretty much. I didn't really play that much golf, or if any, back then, just very little. I didn't get into golf until I was in my probably late 20s, early 30s. But I grew up out here, and I love this place. And I spent countless summers at that swimming pool over there and playing around the tennis courts and just making friends with all the people out here. I used to catch snakes in the creeks and minnows, and then I'd go fishing with those and dig up worms. And it was just heaven for a kid, a great place to grow up. And, the people I knew when I was 8 years old, I still see them today.
Do you really?
I'm still friends with a lot of them. It's, if you grew up out here, and this wasn't as big a place as it is now, but when this was the nicest place to be in Anderson at that time. This was premier. This golf course was immaculate. And that's how I remember it. And that's how a lot of people that still play golf out here and are members and supporting the cause, they want to see it come back as bad as I do.
Well, you get out of high school and your entrepreneurship continues because you basically started a little business.
Yeah, I just to kind of figure out what I was going to do, I started cutting grass and doing lawn maintenance and little landscaping and light stuff like that. And that turned into cutting about 40 yards a week really fast. But that's not really how I made my living. I had a customer that lived out in Harper's Ridge, a lady named Miss Laughlin, real sweet lady. And her movers stood her up. They didn't show. She had them scheduled to move.
She's going to move her household goods.
Right. She was just moving across town. The movers just didn't show up, wouldn't call her back. And she says, I'm in this terrible spot. I've got to be out of here. And nobody showed up. And you're the only person I could think of to call. And would you come and help me move?
Were you cutting her grass?
Yeah. She's a sweetly, I couldn't tell her no. Okay. So I rounded up all the guys that were working for me at the time. This was toward the, later on when I had several guys mowing grass for me and doing landscaping and whatnot. But so I helped her move, and it went well. We didn't tear up anything. And she says, Bill, what do I owe you? And I said, Miss Laughlin, don't worry about it. It was it took us a day to do this. It's a big deal. And she says, well, I'm going to pay you what the quote was. And I said, okay. I said, whatever.
You had no idea.
Oh, no clue. I just thought, a couple $100 and
right.
Whatever. It'll cover the guys.
Yeah.
We'll go back to cutting your grass at a new place. And I, it was like $800, $900. And I just thought, whoa, I could do that. That's, I started calculating how many yards I had to cut to get to that point. So, so I thought, man, I should probably look into that. So I did. And she gave, the word went out pretty quick that I helped her. And so she was telling all her friends. So every time somebody needed something to move, they'd call me. And it just, before long, it started snowballing.
So what equipment did you get to move her?
For her, we actually used the lawnmower trailers. We just took all the lawnmowers off, went and got every blanket and quilt we could find and wrapped everything up, and we just made several trips. But somehow we didn't really tear up anything.
Yeah, and you got the job done.
We got it done, yeah. And so then everyone was calling me to move, and we just got to where I was getting so many moving jobs that it was causing me not to be able to cut as much grass. So then I had to delegate one for the other. And then we bought a box truck, and I bought a box truck, and
that would have been what year?
Oh, that was probably somewhere around 92,
Okay,
91.
Early 90s,
Yeah.
You buy your first box truck.
That's right.
And did you paint a sign on the box truck?
We did. A friend, Chad Powell, did his dad did sign. The old hand painted.
Yep.
People were still doing that. Vinyl wasn't really that big of a thing then. So he painted. His. The name at that time was Two Guys in a Truck, and that was before Two Men in a Truck was ever in the state of South Carolina. So I started out my business as Two Guys in a Truck, and I came up with that name just out of the blue.
Who was the other guy?
Whoever I had hired at that time. So I was just basically just saying, we'll get you two guys and a truck.
And that's all we promised.
And we'll go from there.
And we'll move
yeah,
you.
Yeah. So lo and behold, we did that till, about 3 years maybe.
With that one box truck?
Yes, sir. To start with. And then I got a lawsuit from a franchise.
Two guys?
Two Men in a Truck.
Sued you because you were two guys in a truck.
Said cease and desist all operations as two guys in a truck. So then I went and thought, and this is, I've already built a business based on this, and we're getting pretty busy, and I've built a reputation already. So I went and talked with attorney Todd Davidson, still practicing now, and he just said, Bill, he said, if you don't, he said, legally you're correct, but you can't afford to go to court with them because they're a big company. And he said, and do you want to be mistaken for another company? What if they don't do as good a job as you? And I said, you're exactly right. Let's change it to Sanders Moving and Storage. And so it's been Sanders Moving and Storage since 93. And my son is still running that business today. And we run about 10 trucks, and just an average day, we're doing 5 or 6 moving jobs every day.
From the beginning, Cobbs Glen has always had a soft place in your heart. And after becoming a member of Cobbs Glen and playing golf, what did you envision your relationship with this property becoming? Did you ever think about it?
Not really. I was familiar with a golf course because of the late. I've been playing out here as a kid and growing up out here. I mean, we played football on number 2, and I was very familiar with it. So this, it still does. It feels like home to me.
The history of this is what?
So it's a George Cobb design, and he's a famous designer. And every street in this subdivision is named after a golf course that he did work on. The word on the street was that Cobbs Glen is a failing business. It's not going to survive. People aren't supporting it. And it's probably going to be track houses. And I thought that would be a shame. And I never aspired to own a golf course, okay? There's easier ways to make a living. And believe it or not, moving furniture is one of them. I felt like, I know how precious this place is to the people that grew up out here. And
the people who played golf out here
today. But I would just hate for people not to have what I got to experience as a kid.
So this has got to be a really satisfying time in your life for you.
It's if by satisfying you mean working as hard as I can, then yes, I'm very satisfied. And you're getting good positive feedback from so many people. It's a good feeling.
And giving back to the community.
Giving back to the community. Trying to get, the interest back out here. Long-term goal is to stabilize this place, make it nice. In a perfect world, I'll just get back my initial investment.
You'll be happy.
I'll be happy with that. But I'm trying to preserve this. We're starting clinics for kids. to come out here. Jeff Ruth and Chip Faust are they're putting that stuff together now. We're gonna hold events out here. And it's just, I just want everybody to have a taste of what that swimming pool can be like. We're going to switch over to pickleball and just kind of let tennis go.
Yeah.
There's, I got big plans out here, but it's all got I can't just, I have limited resources, but I have a lot of skill and ability, and I got tons of contacts. And just about anybody I call is more than happy to come out here.
Well, thank you for all you're doing for our community and for bringing Cobbs Glen back. Our guest on this week's edition of Conversations with Paul Brown has been Bill Sanders. We want to thank him and invite all of you to be back with us next week for another edition of Conversations with Paul Brown. Until then, take care, everybody. Brought to you by the folks at Anderson County.